Welcome to Escape Purgatory, a podcast we rewatch Supernatural, then talk it through in the hopes that we can finally escape this show.
Join us each week and leave comments on upcoming episodes, and together we can escape Supernatural Purgatory. So this week we're not talking about any one episode, we're just going to go back and talk about, or do our usual rest stop and wrap up.
Well, I like that rest stop wrap up. I don't think we've used that before. I quite like it. That's good. I do.
So yeah, I mean, even though this season was really short, don't remember how we usually do these.
I think let's talk about the season as a whole and then go into like specifics. So, I mean, short season, but they packed in a lot, right?
They did. Like, I think we were saying this throughout our recordings that they didn't not until the kind of towards the end of the season, they didn't have any misses. They were all really quite good episodes up until, I would say, like Long Distance Call. Maybe there were a few like plot issues.
Yeah.
In some of the earlier ones, but I feel like overall storytelling and like character development were pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. I think Long Distance Call was the one miss of this season. Like, I can't think of another one where I really didn't enjoy basically anything about it.
Yeah.
And I actually think, controversial, Long Distance Call is maybe my worst episode so far of all 3 seasons.
I wouldn't disagree. No, I wouldn't disagree. Like, it's on par with the lazy writing of Bugs, though.
It is, yeah. There are other episodes that are disappointing in a similar way. I don't know, there was something about just the regression of like the characters and the weird themes, and I would be happy not to watch it again. It doesn't feel like canon to me, that episode.
I mean, you could not watch that episode in season 3 and you wouldn't miss anything. No,
not at all. But I mean, other than that, they were all pretty good. I mean, we've talked about this in the podcast, you know, over the last 16 episodes, that really this whole season is all about hell. Right. Yeah.
As I was like scrolling through the episodes on IMDb just to like, I wasn't going to rewatch all of them because that's too much work. But like sort of seeing the images, like still images from each one, I could kind of remember each one. Mm-hmm. This season is about dreams and nightmares.
Yeah.
It absolutely. Really is. You go back to episode 2 with The Kid's All Right, and you know it's Dean's dream that he can't have, right?
Yeah.
And then bedtime stories, literally a woman in a coma, being like the outside world influencing her dreams to cause things, or her mind or ghost to cause things. Episode 7, Gordon. This is now going like turning dreams into nightmares, and sort of the theme of facing your own hell, turning into the thing he hates the most, the vampire. I know we brought that up in the episode.
Yeah.
And then episode 10 was literally a dream episode.
It's so true.
Yeah, it definitely was. It was a dreams turning into nightmares, I guess, then turning into your worst hell.
Yeah, there's almost an aspect of like, you can't have it, right? So a lot of these start out as like dreams, you know, Dean with his family of Lisa and Ben, and you know, there's the girl in the coma who kind of wants a happy ending, you know, for her story. But there's an element all like put all through this season of like, well, good things don't happen. You can't have these things. They're always going to turn out badly. Mm-hmm. Which I guess is major foreshadowing, which is super interesting because I don't think at the beginning of the season they knew how the season was going to end, and yet they managed to foreshadow like Dean going to hell so perfectly with all the stories that they told.
It would be really interesting to find out when they knew that Dean was definitely for sure going to go to hell. I guess it was when they realized the season was going to be cut short, and I don't know when that was.
Yeah, I think you're right. It would be really good to know like the point in the writing where that happened. Because I think I brought this up a few times. I still haven't found the interview. If someone has it, please link it to me because I know it's somewhere, of Kripke, I think it's Kripke, saying that Sam was supposed to save Dean at the end of the season. We would have had the demon blood stuff going into season 4, but we wouldn't have had like the whole angel situation. So it's only because of the writer's strike and the truncation of the episode that we got angels into Supernatural effectively. which really changed
Everything.
the show. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, I think it's really, I really like, they're so cohesive, these episodes. Like, you're right, they all seem to have like a running theme of, I mean, to be fair, even Long Distance Call, it still had that element of like Sam watching someone die and being helpless that we saw in Ghostfacers, and then we saw again in No Rest for the Wicked when it actually like happens to Dean.
Yeah.
They managed to fit it in so nice. I really like season 3, which means it doesn't really go with my theory of let's supernatural seasons are like Star Trek movies. Damn it, I hate being proven wrong.
Well, I guess this could be seen as the exception to the rule again, because it is shortened.
Yeah.
So they really had to, I mean, this is total like speculation, but if you have a feeling that, you know, there's something going on in the writing world, and there may be talks of, you know, shortened seasons across the board, you would want to make sure that this season was amazing so that you could renew if everything went back to normal.
Well,
right?
yeah, exactly, right. I mean, I guess that's the case for every season, but like this one probably felt like, oh, well, we have to get this right.
Yeah. Definitely.
I can't imagine if this season had ended on that cliffhanger. Like, if we had never got more supernatural after Dean going to hell, can you imagine?
I mean, we wouldn't be here for one, so I don't know. Like, well, maybe we would. Maybe we would have been here. I don't know. Well, probably not. Sorry, I keep going back and forth.
I'm going to say probably not. There's been other shows that have been really unsatisfying endings, but I've eventually learned to let it go.
And also, this happened in 2008, so podcasts were not really a thing then.
No, I think literally that's when podcasts were like starting up. Like, I remember listening to a few, because that's the year I started university. So, like, I remember listening to a couple, but yeah, I hadn't really taken off yet for like audio format.
So yeah, no, we definitely wouldn't be here. And also, I mean, the show wouldn't have had the impact that it did, like, because the actors would have gone on to do other things. The community that was built around the show I don't feel like really started until the internet played a part in the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you needed the internet to like really build the fan community. I mean, it was there. Definitely, for sure, but yeah, I think the internet really sparked it off, and I feel like actually around 2008 was when I really started getting aware of like fandom spaces online. And I know people, like, I know it happened earlier, but that's when I became aware of it.
Right.
Yeah. Interesting.
But at the same time, like, I wouldn't be mad at it. Had this been the end, I would, yeah. We spoke about it
That's true.
The last episode.
Yeah.
But I really would not have been mad at it if that was the last episode, because that last scene, like the zoom in and the Dean being in hell, that's gonna haunt me again for a really long time.
I know, it's full of little sad face.
And yeah, no. That could have been a satisfying end, even though it's like a horrible end.
Because it's kind of poetic. Like, yeah. It was, right? It's like, well, you did something, these are the consequences of your actions, and you need to learn to spend eternity with them, I guess. But
yeah. I mean, it kind of embodies, like, the saying, like, no good deed goes unpunished.
Yeah.
You know, his deed was, you know, he wanted to save his brother, but... which is inherently good, right? Just went about it the wrong way.
So here's a question that I've been thinking about for a little while, because we didn't really bring it up in season 3 at all. So when Dean is saved, they say he's saved because he's like the righteous man. Right? Do you think that he established that he was the righteous man during season 3, or do you think that happened after he was resurrected?
What does it mean to be a righteous man, though?
Yeah, this is what I mean. Like, I was like, but asking.
this is a deep conversation to be having.
Yeah, right. I mean, we might talk about more in season 4, but I think that it comes from the sacrifice that he made for Sam, right? I don't think that's in. I don't necessarily think that was in selling his soul. I don't think that was the act that, like, but more the acceptance of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. It does make a lot of sense. And also, he has... Okay, I don't know how you define righteous, but throughout his life, he's always been like a protector.
Yeah.
Of the innocent, the weaker, what have you. And a, quote, savior?
Yeah, he is, yeah.
So, I mean, all of those would, I guess, be righteous qualities. I'm guessing. I don't really know.
This is it, though, because all of those qualities also apply to Sam. Like, all of those qualities, I think. And yet, I guess he couldn't be the righteous man in terms of, like, heaven because of the tainting with the demon blood, which wasn't ever his fault. I mean, it becomes a little bit his fault later on. I mean, it's not fully... I actually never blame Sam for that storyline. I think that he's always trying to do his best. But I think it's interesting that they both show those qualities, and yet it comes to the point where you think, like, oh yeah, they do sacrifice a lot for a lot of people. They have kind of similar sort of hero complexes, but ultimately he was only really chosen it to be like a chess piece on like heaven's side of the board. Yeah,
I think that's what it almost feels like chance, basically.
Yeah.
Because Sam becomes Lucifer's vessel, therefore he can't be a righteous man. Is that...
I think that's the case. And like also... I'm going to be wrong here, but fine, I'm just going to say it anyway. Like, it's heavily implied that John could have broken the final seal. The first seal. Sorry, it's the first, not the final. I always got this the wrong way around. But he didn't break in hell, so he didn't open it. Which would make John, like, original, like, righteous man. I'm having finger quotes. You can't see me on the podcast, but I'm doing finger quotes. Which doesn't track well for me.
Yeah, no, there's no. Yeah, I didn't think about it that way. But then again, was it said to Dean in a way that, like, I don't know.
It's almost putting another, like, label and burden on him.
Yeah.
When it's said. Look, we're getting into season 4 already, and this is my bad. I'm so sorry. But I was thinking about it because I was like, at what point did it happen during season 3? Like, or has it been his whole life? Or is he becoming the righteous man after he's been resurrected from hell? Because he's kind of, like, still a hero even after being through something so horrible. It's I'll make up my mind on this at some point, I'm sure, but I think I need to watch season 4 first. Yeah. Getting deep today.
That's like a really heavy plot point in season 4 too.
I know, like, I'm so sorry.
We're projecting ourselves into like the rest up wrap up of season 4, not of season 3.
Can you tell I'm excited? I'm excited for season 4, Annabelle. I'm excited.
See, I am too, but I also, you know, Supernatural has issues.
Yeah.
Right? Where one season's always really good, which we're finding with season 3, and then the next season's like, what the hell is this? So I'm trying to like tamper my expectations because like I know there are some really good episodes in season 4, but there has got to be some pretty awful ones.
I mean, yeah, this is the thing. We just had a shortened season, and now we need to remember that Supernatural seasons are actually like 23 episodes long, and there's got to be some bad ones in that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, not each one is gonna be like so like you said, cohesive in their like themes. Yeah. And especially now that they're trying to get new footing, it's just gonna be like, oh no.
I definitely think there are some dodgy moments in season 4 that are, so I'm interested to watch it again because I only remember from that like the main plot points of season 4. Like I don't remember any of the like quote unquote filler episodes.
Right, yeah.
There's actually nothing wrong with filler episodes. Like I feel like we're a bit down on filler episodes sometimes, but they're absolutely fine as long as they're doing something with character development and not just gumph.
No, I agree. And like, so I feel like with season 3 is what television has come to now.
Yeah.
So like all the Netflix shows, the HBO shows, you know, they're very short, 8 to 10 episodes.
Yeah.
It's all pretty much story and when there is a filler episode, you feel kind of like cheated because it is so short.
Yeah.
But with the longer format ones, it is kind of nice to get a break from like heavy plot point, because you're just like, okay, all right, we get it. Like, but don't they go on vacation?
Like, basically, we need like Ben Edlund to come in every season and just write us a couple of episodes. I'm still thinking about Ghostfacers. Like, I don't think anyone considers Ghostfacers a filler episode, and yet it contributes almost nothing to the plot of season 3.
It doesn't.
Right? The only bit it may be, because they do mention like how far away they are from hell, and they mention there's that one bit where Sam has to watch Corbett die, which we've already talked about. That's kind of foreshadowing the end. And that's kind of it. But I don't think anyone kind of considers it a filler episode. It's like a break. It's right. Yeah, it's like a break. A recess.
And it's like, you don't know how like spot on that is, especially since like, you know, coming back to it as a rewatch and having the Chuck angle, how much of a break that is.
Right. Oh my gosh. It is. It's the ghost face. The time we see the ghost faces is the only time we get to see the show without Chuck's filter on it.
Yeah.
Oh man. Just gonna gash up Ben Edlund for a second here. Like, he didn't know he was doing it at the time, and yet managed to write something that so perfectly fits into the meta of the later seasons. Like, just want to shake your hand, sir, and be like, do you know what you were doing? Because it's amazing.
I know. There needs to be like a writer's con, right? Where it gets all of the writers from seasons of like television in general, like not just Supernatural. I mean, of course I'd love one just for Supernatural, because like we have said many times, we have questions for Sarah Gamble and Kripke for sure. I don't know if I could ever go to a panel with Kripke, because things may come out of my mouth that I'm not aware of.
That's why, Sarah. Why? What is it with exploding people? Like, I watched the Boys season 3 trailer very recently, and I was like, yeah, Eric Kripke definitely wrote this. Too many people explode in this trailer. Yeah, and that can't be all the explosions that happen over the whole of like season. So there's more. What else did I have written about this season? Yeah, one thing that's really positive about season 3 is that I think it does start to establish the idea of found family as a supernatural trope, just in the inclusion of Bobby. Like, he's just... Yeah. And he doesn't really even do much. Like, Bobby doesn't do much in this season. You think about the final episode, he's there. He is there. But mostly Bobby's just there for moral and emotional support through this season. And some like fatherly advice. The episode he's in the most is Dream a Little Dream of Me, where we kind of explore a bit of Bobby's backstory. But other than that, we don't really find out much more about him, but we still get the kind of idea that he's becoming more and more important.
Yeah, definitely in that last episode with, you know, the family don't end in bloodline.
Sarah.
You know, that becomes a slogan for the show, along with, you know, saving people, hunting things like that is just as iconic. But yeah, you're right. Like, thinking back on it, they I feel like Bella had more of an impact on this season than Bobby did.
Right.
But we all know what happened to Bella, so maybe that was a good thing.
Yeah. We get to keep Bobby for at least another 4 seasons yet, so... Yeah. And beyond that, kind of.
And then he kind of becomes what, like, you know, he was in season 2 and 3, just like sometimes there.
Yeah, exactly. I think that, but it'll like, so there is kind of the start of that found family. It would have been nice to see Ellen and Joe in this season just once, maybe to like check in on them, but fine. Yeah. But then other than that, it's kind of like there's the self-awareness Dean has in this season of the cycle of sacrifice and codependency that they have on each other is actually heartbreaking to watch.
Yeah. I know. It's like he forgets that, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I want to know. I need to rewatch. I need to rewatch this. Like, girl, you are. But like, when does he forget that he knew all of this, and that he knows they're massively codependent on each other. He knows that his and Sam's relationship is unhealthy to the point that they sacrifice and sell their souls for each other. Like, he knows this. We're only 3 seasons in, and he knows. Sam's less aware, but I feel like he doesn't see it as big as a problem as Dean does.
Yeah, which is John Winchester.
Yeah. You do what you got to do. You know?
Yeah, it's kind of sad that it gets dropped off, but at the same time, I don't feel like the things that happens later on, like throughout the seasons, could have happened if he still had that self-awareness.
Yeah, I was thinking about it now, actually, and I think it doesn't actually go away for Dean. I think the circle of people he would sacrifice himself for expands. So it becomes less focused on Sam. And I think it's the same for Sam as well. You know, there's more people in his life that he would like sacrifice himself for. So I think that's maybe why it feels like the focus was taken away from that a little bit. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like when we're saying about found family, like that's what happens, you know. You have a family and your responsibilities expand, and it happens in Supernatural. It's just their responsibilities are like dying for each other.
That's a great responsibility.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting. Like, because I feel like Dean was getting more and more self-aware about that in season 2. I mean, and then in season 3, like, he outright says it.
Multiple times, too.
Yeah, many times. Like, we're each other's weakness. Like, everybody knows we're each other's weakness. They're using it against us. It's almost like he's kind of aware. It feels like if you rewatch this with Chuck in mind, you can feel like somewhere on the edges of like Dean's consciousness, he's aware he's being played, but yet it's not able to like solidify into like a final thought that like a bigger cosmic entity is doing it. Which again is, I can't wait to again watch the reveal where you find out that Chuck was God and he's been like playing them this whole time, because I just want to watch again like his reaction to like, oh damn it, I knew I had this feeling and like it was all correct.
Yeah
Again,
we're going really far now.
Hey look, rest stops there for spoilers and talking about the way into the future. We're sitting around the metaphorical campfire talking shit.
We're really extending that upcoming episode's point in our intro.
Hey, look, it's all relevant, man. It's all relevant now. If they didn't want it to be relevant, they shouldn't have introduced God into Supernatural.
I guess we can get into some of the minute details of this season. So, do you want to start with your favorite episode of Supernatural? That's a big ask of this season.
Yeah, I think it's no surprise to anybody that my favorite episode was episode number 10, which is Dream a Little Dream of Me. I love it. It's my fave. I did write some other ones down that are just like, I mean, like Ghostface's Mystery Spot, A Supernatural Christmas are all stellar.
Yeah.
But I think it's Dream a Little Dream of Me just because of the direct confrontation that Dean has with himself and how he calls out John. It was too good. And I like all the dream stuff. Like, again, it's no secret that I'm a big fan of Neil Gaiman and like Sandman and stuff. I like the idea of exploring dreams as like a physical place you can visit and actually has an effect on your life, which is the same reason I like A Supernatural Christmas. I really like the idea of gods existing in the world and being a product of people's belief. I think it's a cool concept.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, Dream a Little Dream of Me. It's got great acting in it as well. It's just the best. What about you, Annabelle? What was your favourite episode of the season?
Mine is actually the season finale, No Rest for the Wicked.
Whoa! Oh no, I can see why. Yeah.
Yeah, just like everything just lined up perfectly in my mind for that one. Like the writing was really well done. The acting was, heartbreaking. And of course, Kim Manners at the helm. Like, you're not really going to go wrong.
Yeah.
All the facial expressions just on screen for me to enjoy, basically. And, starting from episode 1, The Magnificent Seven being so blah.
Oh yeah, I forgot how bad that episode was. It's just erased from my mind.
Like, the stakes in that episode were non-existent to then episode 16 where these stakes were at their highest and they lost.
Yeah.
it's just like, oh no. Like season 1, like episode 1 gave you the sense that, oh, they took on 7 major demons because, you know, they were the embodiment of the 7 deadly sins.
Yeah.
And, you know, they were fine. To just taking on 1. I mean, yeah, there was a whole army of demons, but they were just regular.
Yeah.
But taking on this one big bad, and they, again, like I said, lost. I'm just like, what a journey. What a journey.
That's a really good point. I'm thinking about later seasons. I don't think we often see them like lose. Like something always happens. But like this is one of the first time I'm changing that. There are definitely instances when they like seriously lose.
Yes, but I don't feel like on this scale.
No. And like also, if you think about like leading up to this, they've always won. Like they've always managed to defy the odds and win. Like I mean, like Dean literally died at one point and managed to, you know, John managed to bring him back in beginning of season 2. So yeah, you're right. I think to actually see them fail, because I really think if you were watching this for the first time, you were never expecting Dean to actually go to hell. No,
not at all. In terms of, you know, the hero's story, the hero doesn't die.
No.
I mean, okay, at this point, Sam is still supposed to be the hero, so of course he defies death.
Yeah.
Quite literally, because Lilith can't kill him in the way that she's killed like other people. So if you look at it from that angle, then actually, yes, they won because Sam survived. But I mean, we definitely look at this through Dean's lens, which, you know, it's just who we are. That's how it's gonna be. So for us, or definitely for me, I don't want to speak for you, but Dean going to hell was a loss. And I mean, it broke Sam as well. So it wasn't like it was a complete win.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's a big loss. It's a big loss for Sam too, because he truly thought he was going to get his brother out of this. Like there'd be some kind of Hail Mary at the end of this, and he'd managed to save him, like has happened every time before. Yeah. But he totally failed to save Dean, and that definitely is a huge plot point moving forward, that he deals with that failure. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah,
does he deal with it though?
He doesn't deal with it. And how he deals with it, I should have said, is a big plot point. I mean,
the means of dealing with it were not healthy. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
You know, 12 years of not being healthy.
I do think, like, talking about like, oh yeah, seeing this through Dean's lens a lot, but when you do look at it through Sam's, it is interesting too. I think, bless him, Sam fails a lot in Supernatural. Like, he always has the best intentions, and it always seems to just like a little bit go wrong. Like, even if you think of the last season, like he was trying his best for a good outcome, and he really like screwed the pooch on that. So it sits with Sam a lot, and I think it carries through into the other seasons of how he deals with things. This loss was his first big loss, and I think it really, he doesn't cope with it very, very well at all.
Yeah, no.
No, I like that. I agree. The season finale was really good, and it wasn't disappointing in any way. Like, I think if I had watched this on live television, I would have been shouting at my TV screen like, "What? What?"
And like crying for a good reason.
Right. Oh gosh.
I mean, obviously, you know, we pointed out the issues with Ruby and like that stuff, but like, people that, you know, shows retcon things all the time, so like it's fine.
So it's really funny, is I watched a special feature on how they did special effects and things on the show, and it's really interesting, but one of the things they said right at the beginning was like, oh, you know, we'll change the like lore on the monsters to fit the plot, like we don't necessarily keep it consistent. I was like, yeah, that's true, at least you knew. Yeah.
Who said that? Do you remember?
It was one of the special effects guys.
Oh, it was a special effects guy. Okay.
Yeah. It really made me appreciate actually like how much practical effects they used to do, and like I really, really wish they'd continued it. Because the seasons hold up so well. Like, they still look really good. There's some things in there that, like, visual effects, we're so used to seeing them now that you know when they're done badly. Right. But like, you wouldn't have pointed out at the time, or not done badly, but done in like an old-fashioned way.
Yeah, just, I mean, the technology wasn't there.
Yeah, the technology is different. But like, I just wish people would go back to doing practical effects, because it looks so much better, and like, it just, I don't know, it holds up so much better. You know, I even think back to like 1960s Star Trek. And although like now they've put it into HD, you can see the edges of the scars and stuff that is stuck on people's faces. It still holds up in a way that like visual effects don't really.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. I watched it. It's like long. It's like nearly half an hour. But if you get a chance, I would definitely watch it because it's kind of interesting and like it just gives you an appreciation for like. Yeah, I wish I'd go back to that old style.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of, like, you know, we were talking about The Boys earlier.
Mm.
In that trailer of season 3, there is something about a CGI body explosion that doesn't have the same effect as like Alien when, you know, it burst out of his chest. Like, it's almost more of course it's more visceral.
Yeah,
it, like, actually happens.
That's the word I would use as well. It just feels more real, which is, it grosses you out more, but like that's what I want to see. And it was kind of great. I know some people hate gore on television. We've talked about this before. Like, they showed one of the visual effects. They showed one of the practical effects was in the episode. Well, which episode was it? But the guy falls on the circular saw.
Well, that was in season 2, wasn't it?
Yeah, maybe it was in season 2. But they showed how they were doing some from other like the big how far they got, and they showed how they did that, and it was really interesting. Like, and like I just think there's a lot of artistry that goes into it that I just wish they would keep. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't imagine Gordon's death being done in CGI. That would have not worked.
So they did actually show how they did that scene, and you're right. So when his head gets cut off, that was all practical effects. And then when they actually showed his like head on the floor, a lot of that was actual visual effects. It's kind of like a combination of both. And how they did it was really interesting. So again, go watch this. It's a cute little feature, and like you get to see some of the people who worked on the show probably for like the whole time they were there as well. Mm-hmm. So normally in our rest stop as well, we talk about our favourite character moments from the season. So Annabelle, do you want to give me your favourite Dean moment?
Sure. So I kind of split it in two. So I have my favourite like sort of serious Dean moment, which, you know, highlighting Jensen's acting. Chef kiss. And then like one of my favourite silly moments. Okay. So favourite serious moment was Demon Dean and that whole confrontation in Dream a Little Dream of Me, just for how much it cemented the themes of this season in my mind at that point. And it was so good. It was just so good. Like the concept, the filming, the acting, again, just all of that. I was like, this is just peak Dean, like facing his fears and then like killing his fears, but it's himself, and it's just like, oh my god. It's intense.
It's so true.
And then my favorite silly moment from Dean is basically any of the scenes where it was him and Ben together.
Oh yeah, this little like mini me.
Yeah. So just pretty much all of episode 2.
Oh, that's cute.
What about you?
Let me think. I also chose that scene from Dream a Little Dream of Me, but I do have more. I think also it's funny as we're going kind of swapping favourite episodes here, but in the season finale for this, the conversation that he has with Sam, which I've already mentioned, where he's like, you are going to let me go to hell, like this is happening. I just feel it was really good and really heartbreaking and great acting on like both of their parts. Like I think it's just awesome. And just cements his character and like the self-sacrificial. The thing is, Dean also thought he was going to be saved up to that point, and just like the resignation is like, oh, I hate it so much and I love it so much. And then like, favorite like silly moment. I just think anytime he swears in ghost faces, just anytime. I love it so much. Just his whole attitude for that whole episode is awful.
Yeah.
And I love it.
His intolerance for the stupid is just great.
I know. I like that a lot.
So what about your favourite Sam moments?
So my favourite like serious Sam moment was actually like, this is quite a long bit, basically the whole second half of Mystery Spot. I think it just gave us a chance to see Sam in such a completely different light that we all know he's capable of, like having watched the rest of Supernatural, but I don't feel like we knew as an audience he was capable of up to that point in the season. It really showed how much he mirrored John and how serious Sam could get, and that he was too, like, incredibly obsessed over, you know, hunting down the trickster at this point. Just really good, and definitely gave Sam's character like more dimension, how serious he got with that, and the ruthlessness of stabbing Bobby. And then the very slight hesitation of like, oh crap, I stabbed Bobby. It's beautiful and wonderful. I love that scene so much.
We're laughing at our pain. Let's put it that way.
A favourite funny moment? Oh gosh, I don't know. There were a few in this. I felt like Sam had more funny moments at the beginning of this season.
He was very much ignored at the beginning of the season, right?
Yeah, right? I'm trying to think, like, I don't know. There just tended to be, like, more jokes and things. I don't know if Sam was particularly, like, funny in this season at all. I'm trying to think of a moment. What did you, like, let's do this opposite. What did you, because I actually cannot think of one. What did you have of your, like, silly moment for Sam?
So mine's from episode 6. I keep saying season. Sorry. Episode 6. I mean, it's not a great moment, but like all of the interactions between him and the creepy old lady, like being groped, and like his resignation throughout that whole like scene. I mean, in my mind, I should think like this is not okay, but I just can't help but laugh at his like pain, essentially.
I mean, he's playing, like, the thing is, Jared played that for comedy, like his facial expression. So I think it's absolutely like. Yeah. So
yeah, I think that was my favorite silly moment of his from season 3.
I think it's him agreeing that they should just like shoot Bella, and they're like joking about that. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
There's you know, the point where Dean loses the Impala on the side of the wharf, and he's like, "Breathe, man." I quite enjoyed that. and your favorite serious moment for Sam then?
It's actually kind of from the same episode. Towards the end, so it's either this one or another one. Where we start to see his abilities in spellcasting and like forming plans. So at the end of Red Sky at Morning, you know, he says he has a plan. He starts to summon the ghost, and it just works.
Yeah.
So I think that again, just sort of cementing his skill set beyond being a soldier, which I feel really bad for saying, because like, what does it say about Dean? But it's funny for Dean that like he doesn't know spells and he doesn't know all of that kind of stuff, and it's nice to see the sort of separation between the two at this point. And then my other moment that I could have chose is from Fresh Blood, and again it's seeing his like brutality come through. Like these two, like, you know, these episodes are one after each other, and to see how different aspects of his personality come through in both of these, because, you know, he just decapitates Gordon. Like,
for real. Like, yeah.
I didn't appreciate like the build up of it. I think it was drawn out for way too long, but it definitely shows, like, I appreciate that it was Sam who kills Gordon.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think it would have been fair if it was Dean. And also, like, it proved Gordon wrong. I kind of like that.
Oh yeah, yeah. It is. Again, his ending was almost like kind of ironic, right? There was a lot of irony in this season. But I guess that comes with the whole like dreams and nightmares, hell situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that both our Sam moments were like, oh, I want to see him be like a badass, like, hunter. Screw all this like doe-eyed puppy stuff. I want to see him like take out 2 SWAT guys and like decapitate a dude.
Yes, absolutely. So adding like a little bit of a new to the rest of.
Ooh.
Dead ends. So the people who we've lost.
I like the dead ends. Yes, let's do it.
You'd mentioned it before, but you gave it a different name, and I don't remember what it was.
I like dead ends.
So in this season, so this is more like based on recurring characters, not, you know, the characters who died in the episodes, because we don't know them.
And the list is too long.
Yeah, that's what it's because it's every single episode, let's be real. Right. And there's at least 2 per episode. I guess we can start with Gordon, because he is the first. And I already sort of mentioned that even though that's my favourite Sam moment, it was I liked Gordon's conclusion. I don't know how else they would have done it without it being like an off-screen death. And I don't think Gordon really deserved an off-screen death. Because he was like, you know, he was a myth. He was almost a John Winchester, like a myth amongst hunters, right?
Right, yeah.
I mean, not a good one. Like, people were like, stay away from him. He's a bad influence, essentially. His involvement in Bad Day at Black Rock, you know, his interactions with Kubrick I found very entertaining. Also, it's Sterling Brown, so, I mean, you're not going to go wrong.
Him in the gag reel, there's only like a few bits of him doing it, and one of them is just like, acting.
Yeah.
I love
acting. It was great. It was really, really good. And just, you know, again, facing his nightmare and becoming the monster he hated. Like, they could have turned him into anything. Of course they chose vampire. They weren't, that was not an accident. I mean, I hope it wasn't an accident. That episode was such good character development for his character.
Yeah, I know.
In such a short amount of time.
It really was. Yeah, I agree. Gordon was a great character. I do wish we could have explored it a little bit more, but I agree his ending was poetic. You know, he became the thing he hated, and then fully embraced it because he only ever saw in like black and white. So of course he must be evil now. He was a vampire. It's still. But what was interesting was he gave in to the vampire side of himself so quickly, but it didn't actually change his personality really at all.
No, not at all.
Was kind of proving maybe he was like sort of a monster all along kind of thing. It's all very like, I enjoyed it. I agree his death was overly brutal, but the fact that it was Sam was good.
So I kind of spring this on you, so I'll go through the people that...
That's fine, yeah.
So next would be Hendrickson, and everything sucked about it.
100%. I feel like we went off on a lot on this in the episode, and I still feel exactly the same way. Should have got a spin-off, shouldn't have been killed off, was not open to interpretation, so they just shouldn't have killed him off. There was no need. Exactly.
The only thing that the maybe benefit, and I can't say this for sure because we'll never know, but had he stuck around, we may not have got Jodie and Donna. Maybe.
I can see that. If we already had someone in law enforcement who was working with them, would we have needed another character? And yeah, maybe Jodie and Donna may not have been brought in. Yeah, that's a good point. It's a shame. You have to... The problem is there shouldn't really be a kind of limit to an ensemble cast. Like,
right.
In Supernatural, there does seem to be like a very defined limit on like how many side characters you can have. And I mean, yeah, there is. It gets to a point where it's ridiculous. But in this case, I think because it was so early on, it sets a trend that continues poorly in that. Yeah, because what we're kind of saying here is, you know, a character who was maybe like a character who's a person of color has kind of been sacrificed to the fact we maybe get some female representation later on, and like it shouldn't work like that. We need to like trade one lot of representation for another. Obviously that's quite like cynical. Like obviously they didn't know that they were going to bring in Jodie later on, but I don't think her character would have stuck around if we had another law enforcement character. I think you are right. Yeah.
Because then it becomes what you were saying with like, you know, the number of ensemble cast members. The thing is they could have done so much with it. I know they had to have Sam and Dean in each episode, but like they could have had the Ghostfacer kind of aspect of it where they were in the episodes, but they weren't really the main focus. So having like the law enforcement team of Hendrickson, Jodie and Donna and whoever else they would have roped into it, solving a case and like consulting Sam and Dean because they don't have the expertise of the supernatural. They only have the law enforcement.
Absolutely. And they tried to spin off Supernatural like a few times and never quite got there with it because I feel like on this one with the like, you know, because we were talking about, Henriksen could have his own spin-off, etc. I feel like with those, they never like listened to the fans on this. I mean, think of like how much everybody wanted Wayward Sisters. Like everybody wanted it. There's no one I've ever spoken to in the Supernatural fandom who didn't want that show. And yeah, it still didn't happen. But like, who was asking for the monster spin-off that I can't remember the name of? Like, no one was asking for that.
No, like nobody cares. Like,
but yeah. I agree. Great character. Really great antagonist to have someone who's not a monster be an antagonist for them. And then actually coming over to their side. And it reinforces the fact that they are doing good, although their methods are...
questionable.
Yeah, questionable. They are doing the right thing. So yeah, poor ending to a good character.
Yeah, and I think, again, with outside voices, by that I mean like Sarah Gamble saying that it could be open to interpretation. Like, come on.
Come on, man. No.
It literally says he died.
Yeah. There's a TV report about it. The thing exploded.
I know, I mean, the only way that I could see that possibly happening is because it also says that Sam and Dean died, and obviously we know that's not true.
Yeah.
But we saw Lilith in the building and explode the building, so no.
Yeah, okay, you're fine. I guess you could do it that way. I don't know. I'm still mad about it. I don't know if I'll stop being... Maybe I'll stop being mad about it one day. I say that about a lot of things. I'm not actually a very angry person. Supernatural, it's really bad.
Brings out the worst in us.
Who else did we lose this season?
Bella.
Yeah.
And I mean, we went into great length as to why all of this was awful as well. You know, turning a strong female character into a victim for no reason. On top of that, continuing the disdain of her character after she was dead.
Yeah.
Like, we don't really see that. Even Gordon was forgotten, and like I feel like Gordon was was a much bigger antagonist than Bella ever was. Like, Gordon tried to blow up Sam.
He tried to blow him up twice. There were 2 bombs in that house.
So, what did Bella do?
Yeah,
she stole the cult.
Oh no! I think maybe if you're comparing the two, I think the reason Gordon didn't get as much disdain from Sam and Dean, well, Dean especially from this, is like he could understand his motivations where they never understood Bella. They didn't understand her motivations of like looking like she was out for herself, whereas at least Gordon was a hunter. So they kind of had they could see traits of that in themselves, and probably John also. It's not an excuse.
No, and like especially this whole idea of being out for yourself kind of gets dropped a little bit when the Men of Letters come out. You know, there was this whole secret society of like kind of helping but not really.
Right. Again, like Bella would have fit so nicely into the Men of Letters narrative. First of all, she was British. Second of all, like she's basically Ketch. Like they kind of they wrote in a male Bella. Like he's basically a similar character. I mean, there's some differences there, but I mean there are definitely maybe some more similarities. They also replaced her character with like people like Sergei, who was like an artifact dealer. I really didn't understand why she had to have a demon deal in the end.
Yeah.
That there were other ways to kill her off, and like I don't know, it just, I mean, we spoke about it at length, but like I feel it felt weird to me. It felt a bit rushed, and they kind of like were killing off a main character to foreshadow the death of a main character. So I think they just killed off Bella in that way to set us up for Dean's death. To be like, oh yeah, this can happen to anybody.
So, and then the last, I mean, so it's not really necessarily a character, but it's an actor.
Yeah.
Not who actually physically died, but like, so Ruby.
Right, yeah.
The actress who played Ruby, Casey Cassidy, who did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Like, you know how in Game of Thrones, like, people couldn't really separate Joffrey from the actor and quit acting because of it.
Oh, poor guy.
Or at least that's what I heard. I don't know if that's true. This definitely has the same effect. Like, I can't separate her from Ruby.
Yeah.
But she did an amazing job as Ruby.
Yeah, I mean, Katie Cassidy, like all the awards. I especially in that last episode. Do you think she knew it was the last episode? It was like, so I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to show everyone how great I am because I'm not coming back here.
No, I don't think so. I think it was from the beginning, honestly. Like, every interaction that she's had with them is so manipulative, so, like, I don't know. It's just really well done. It's really well. She did a really good job with because we had Meg, right?
Yeah.
And we kind of saw how demons act, and I feel like that was the basis of how all demons are acting going forward. But like, she was always mean and like had really bad traits, but Ruby didn't really have that in the same kind of way. She could turn on the charm and like be a good person.
Yeah, extremely manipulative. Like, she's a character that I kind of like love to hate. Like, she's a bad person, but I love her for it. The fact that she's so manipulative and clearly just out for herself. Like, I like those kind of characters sometimes. Yeah, it was an interesting choice, I guess, not to bring her back again for Ruby, but it does fit in narratively with what happens in No Rest for the Wicked, because basically that vessel is dead now, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, with Time Is On My Side, like with the torturing of that demon, they're saying that the demons are like riding them hard and dry, whatever. Yeah. So I'm guessing like that's essentially what she did with Ruby. Right,
exactly. So yeah, like I guess we lost. I guess in KT Cassidy, like Ruby 1.0 is how the fandom usually refer to her. Is that, you know, Lilith killed that iteration of Ruby. We don't get her back again. I mean, you know, we do. Obviously, Ruby comes back as a character, but I do feel like Genevieve played her slightly differently, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It shows kind of like difference in the character and maybe the experiences they went through, but I don't feel we get the same like sass from Ruby 1.0 again.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. So yeah, I think that was, and with that thought though, so, you know, she got really pissed in Justin Bello that they'd lost the cult.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we asked this question at the time, but do you think the cult would have worked against Lilith?
No, I didn't. We did talk about this. That's a really good question. Because the cult didn't work against
Tammy.
Yes, Tammy. But because they made the caveat to that is because it was Ruby's magic. But how is Ruby linked to Lilith and would it have worked? That's a really good point. It's kind of asking a similar question like, the thing is, where is she on the level? Because the cult worked against Azazel, right? So is Lilith more powerful than Azazel? I think she is. I'd say she's on like Abaddon levels of... I know we don't know who Abaddon is yet, but like, you know, the Knights of Hell kind of level of power.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think no, but hang on, no, I'm changing that. I think yes, and this is why. Because they set up Bella to steal the cult. Lilith specifically tried, you know, because Bella was trying to get out of her deal. And one of the conditions with her getting out of her deal was stealing the cult from them. So it must have posed a threat to Lilith in order for them to want Bella to take it off the board. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
That's my answer to that.
That's a really good answer.
Thank you.
I don't really have anything else to add to that. Because I was thinking about it, and I'm like, I was in the same camp of like, it didn't work against Tammy, but does Lilith know the cult was remade?
I think she must do.
Yeah, she must do.
She must do. Yeah. No, I'm sticking with that. I think Bella took it off the table because it was a threat. I think that must be it. But we definitely did establish that at a certain power level, the cult doesn't work. So it's possible that maybe Lilith didn't know that it would be a threat to her. Like, didn't know whether or not it would work. So it's just like, well, just in case. Yeah.
Well, so Tammy knew about Lilith, but we weren't really sure if Tammy was on Lilith's side. So
they're all duplicitous and working against each other. That's what I like about demons.
I guess characters we would have wanted to see more of. We already kind of mentioned, well, for me it was Ellen at least, because she was in the season 2 finale, so like, why wouldn't she be in season 3 at some point?
Why wasn't she even mentioned at any point? Like, she knows the gates of hell opened and all these demons came out, but like, did what? Like, what's she doing?
She just went and hid somewhere.
Yeah, like, is there like maybe one mention of her in like the... Oh no, I can't remember. I don't think there even is one mention of her at all. I thought maybe in the first episode there was, but no, there isn't. There actually isn't.
There was kind of like, you know, because I was thinking Bad Day at Black Rock, but they only mentioned Bobby.
Yeah. It's super weird. I don't know what was going on there. Maybe like Kripke was like, no, we blew up the roadhouse. They're dead now to us.
Open to interpretation.
I mean, because she's in the finale. Like, she should have been. Anyway, yeah, I agree. Ellen, yeah.
Jo, I could take or leave, to be honest. Like,
yeah,
her character is kind of weird.
Yeah, I agree. I actually like. I don't really like how they write Jo, but okay, you don't have to like every character.
No, exactly.
Sorry, I would like to see more Bobby still, even though he was in it more. I always want more Bobby. More Bobby. More.
That's fair.
Yeah. Just get Jim Beaver on every episode, please. Thanks.
Signed, sealed, Escape Purgatory podcast. Yeah, so I think that's kind of it, really, isn't it?
I know. We're going to season 4. I'm so excited.
Like I said, I'm trying to keep my expectations down a little bit so that I'm like, not every episode's going to be a banger, and I have to accept that.
Not every episode is going to have Cass in. We just have to accept that.
It'd be interesting to see if they come up with like this, like finding their footing, like how they go ahead and do that. I'm excited to see.
Yeah, I am too. Very excited. I'm very excited.
So with that being said, next week will be some of our mistakes that and bloopers and gag reel that we made, and then we'll have a break. So no episode in 2 weeks, and then we'll come back and start Lazarus Rising. Oh my god, the episode. There's a running joke. I don't know if we've spoken about this.
Oh, I don't think we have told anyone about this, but yeah, we totally should. Maybe let's mention it next episode. I think that's let's mention it next episode. All because right, so there we go, cliffhanger for you at the end of season 3.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see where this goes. Oh, monster movie. Oh,
yeah, I like that one too.
Anyway. And that's only like episode 4. I'm so excited. No, 5. Yeah. Episode 5 of season 4. Awesome. So yeah, and we'll see you in a few weeks, guys. So thank you to the Pixel Agora. He did the episode art for our podcast. And if you want to support him, go ahead and visit our Redbubble store and buy something with the logo on. Indirect support, because a portion of the profits go to him. You can also find us all over social media. We're mostly active on Tumblr, Twitter, and Instagram. So go check us out there. Search for Escaping Purgatory Podcast or Escaping Podcast on Twitter and leave us a comment. You can also find us on YouTube, where the episodes come out a week later. And just no actual faces, but our voices are still there.
You were there in spirit? What's that everything? So yeah, this week we took a break. We built a little campfire, sat in the woods, roasted some marshmallows, and talked about our feelings. It's a shame we couldn't do it in a Chevy Impala. Feels more right that way. But next week, well, we'll get a bit closer to finding our way out after having a bit of a laugh. Bye.
Bye.